Hello everyone. I was at a different gun range earlier today, and I was asked the question: should somebody get a 300 Blackout? Okay, so this is something I've talked about in the past. I've done lots of videos on 300 Blackout. If you search my channel name and 300 Blackout, you'll see those videos come up, and you'll be able to hear all the details. So I thought today I could do a summary video, okay, of the conclusions that I have arrived to over the last several years of shooting 300 Blackout. Okay, so 300 Blackout can be a lot of fun. It makes sense to try it out if you just get an upper, okay, to swap onto your 5.56 lower, okay, because you can get a 300 Blackout upper for about $200. You can probably get it a little bit cheaper at Bear Creek Arsenal. You can probably get a little bit more expensive at other websites, but you can order a 300 Blackout upper that will ship to your house, right? No FFL, and you can swap this onto your AR-15, okay? Not your AR-9, not your AR-10, specifically on your AR-15 that shoots 5.56, okay? So you should do that before you commit to spending a lot more money. Like, for example, I do not recommend you get yourself something like this SIG MCX that shoots 300 Blackout, right? Because now you're talking about a $2,000 investment, and you can't cheaply convert this to shoot a different caliber. I mean, you can, but it's going to cost you a lot more than just $200. Okay, so it makes if you want if you want to try out 300 Blackout, it makes a lot of sense to just get the upper. Okay, it uses the same bolt carrier, the same bolt, same charging handle. So you just need the upper, basically the upper receiver, you know, the barrel, the handguard, the ass tube. Okay, you know, the optic you can swap on from a different gun to test out. So, well, like I said, for $200, it's just cheap enough to just buy the complete upper. Okay, try that out for a couple of months. See if it makes sense for you to shoot 300 Blackout, because 300 Blackout is more expensive. And like, I mean, I've got a whole bunch of different calibers, including obviously I got 300 Blackout. And the reality is I don't do a whole lot of shooting with 300 Blackout. Okay, I end up doing most of my shooting with 5.56 or 9mm. Okay. You can get yourself an AR-9, right? Either in 7.5 inch or 10 inch that shoots 9mm. Now, that an AR-9 upper, it doesn't go on an AR-15 lower. Okay, so if you want to get an AR-9, right, a 9mm AR, you pretty much have to. You probably should get them from the same company. Like, I'll get mine from Palmetto. So it's the upper and the lower for the AR-9 will come from Palmetto. The reason is because there's no mil spec for AR-9 or for AR-10. So you should, you should get both the upper and the lower from the same company. Okay, but AR-15, that's mil spec, so you can get a 300 Blackout upper from any company, and it'll fit on a mil spec AR-15 lower. And that's one of the great things about the AR-15 platform. You can get a lot of these different uppers in different calibers and try them out. Okay, so having shot 300 Blackout for a couple of years now, basically for the extra money of the ammunition, there's really not that much of a payoff. Okay, so let's talk about the accuracy. The accuracy is about 1.5 inches at 100 yards, which I can easily get with 5.56, and I can also get with my 7.62 by 3.9. Okay, so basically this is an AR-15 upper that shoots AK-47 rounds. Now, for most people, if you don't have a stockpile of AK ammo, it's probably not feasible for you, right? But if you're somebody like me that has stockpiles of AK-47 ammunition going back many years, it's very feasible to get, a 7.62 by 3.9 AR upper that shoots, AK ammunition. And again, I just swapped this on my AR-15 lower. Again, this thing costs about $200. And you know, basically the 300 Blackout and the 7.62 by 3.9 have very similar ballistics. Both of these, right? Both of these. This one, the 300 Blackout is 8 inches. The 7.62 by 3.9 is 7.5 inches. Both of these get 1.5 inches at 100 yards. Okay, so the accuracy is about the same. On the energy side, the 7.62 by 3.9 has more energy. Okay, it's a more powerful round. So even though they're both basically 30 calibers, out of a 16-inch barrel, with most budget like Red Army Standard or Tula 7.62 by 3.9, I'll get about 1,400 foot-pounds out of a 16-inch barrel. With the 300 Blackout, out of the same 16-inch barrel here, I pretty much get something like 1,100, 1,150. So the 300 Blackout in the same length barrel is weaker than your 7.62 by 3.9. Okay, so they got about the same accuracy, about 1.5 inches. Okay, with good budget ammunition, but the AK round is more powerful. So on the power side, right, if you're looking for more power, it makes sense to go with 7.62 by 3.9. Again, if you've got that ammunition stockpiled, or if you see that the two ammunitions, like if you're looking to buy it now and you see that they're both at the same price, yeah, it makes sense to get the more powerful ammunition if they're both equally accurate. Okay, so as far as penetration, right, I did a test. I posted a video where at 100 yards I was shooting a truck rim. Okay, so on the truck rim, the 5.56 was able to, this is at a 16-inch barrel, the 5.56 was able to penetrate it. The 7.62 by 3.9 was able to penetrate it out of a 16-inch barrel. The 300 Blackout out of a 16-inch barrel was not able to penetrate. Okay, so that little bit less energy, you know, just dropped it below that threshold where it could not penetrate that truck rim. So, so I've seen it in the chronograph. I've seen it in actual testing. 300 Blackout has less power. Now, the reason why most people will use 300 Blackout is because they want to have a suppressor. They want to get subsonic ammunition. And what I tell people on that, get the suppressor first, okay? Because I have run into a bunch of people that, hey, they bought the gun first and they're like, yeah, I'll get the suppressor at some point. They still haven't gotten it. So get the suppressor first, okay? It's really easy to order the upper. It gets shipped right to your house. No FFL is required for this. Get the suppressor first, and then get the 300 upper if that's what you want to do. And then shoot that for a bunch of months and see if you're gonna keep buying 300 Blackout ammunition. Because what I have found is a lot of people, they end up taking that suppressor off of their 300 Blackout and they put it on a 5.5, actually not a 5.56 gun. Although you could with an adapter, because it won't be as quiet, but it'll be pretty close. But what a lot of people have done is they'll get a 7.62 by 3.9 upper for that suppressor and shoot it a little bit cheaper. Okay, so that's one of the things to do. Like get the suppressor, get a cheap 300 Blackout upper, see how much shooting you're actually doing, right, before you get something like this. Again, the SIG MCX, where you're putting like $2,000 into the gun. You know, see if you're actually going to buy 300 Blackout ammunition, you know, 6 months down the road, a year down the road. Okay. Another option is 9mm. 9mm. You know, because if your thing is, hey, you want to shoot like 7.5 or 8-inch AR style guns, 9mm is a pretty decent option. Okay, yes, there's a huge drop off in the power, but if you're shooting at fairly close distances, you know, it's pretty good. I mean, if it's good enough for your handgun, it's good enough. You know, you're gonna get a little bit more power, you know, not a whole lot, but a little bit more power out of the 8-inch barrel. Okay, so that's also something to consider. So I just wanted to lay out some things here from somebody that, you know, that actually has a 300 Blackout, that has been shooting it now for some time. And the reality is that most of the time, I don't shoot the 300 Blackout. I shoot the 5.56. Okay, so what I find, I'm either shooting 5.56, 9mm because it's a lot cheaper, and I'm shooting the steel targets up close, right? Or not close, but let's say at 10 or 15 yards, 9mm makes a lot of sense for that. Or if I'm shooting like 500 yards plus, I'm shooting 308. Okay, so AR-10 like 500 to 1,000 yards. Um, AR-10 is really the answer. 300 Blackout is not going to get you that. In fact, 300 Blackout and 7.62x39. After 400 yards, there's a huge drop. Okay, so your holdovers, even if you have a bullet drop compensator, it's the bullets really start rainbowing down. So it's good out to 400 yards. That 400 to 500 yards, it gets a lot more difficult to get on target. The bullet slows down. Wind starts pushing it around a lot more. 5.56 will get you to 500 yards more reliably, more consistently. And you might say, hey, what good are little 22 holes at 500 yards? Here's the thing: at 500 yards, wounding a threat is good enough, right? Because if so anywhere between 200 yards and 500 yards, if you wound somebody, they're not going to continue to advance on your position. They're going to turn around and they're going to leave. Okay, inside of 200 yards, if you wound somebody, they might conclude that their best chance of survival is to continue to advance forward and defeat you, because if they try to run away, you're going to shoot them in the back. Okay, so I think that's a very valid way to think about this. From zero distance out to 200 yards, you need the ammunition, you need the caliber to basically like quickly incapacitate and get somebody out of the fight. Past 200 yards, wounding is pretty good, because now they're going to start. If you wound somebody past 200 yards, they're going to think about leaving the battle rather than continuing to advance on you. Okay. So yeah, a couple of thoughts on that. I mean, for having shot 300 Blackout now for a couple of years, yeah, I mean, it makes sense for me to get like a $200 upper. And like I said, this doesn't have a dedicated lower. Okay, I just swap this on the days that I feel like shooting 300 Blackout. But for the most part, I mostly shoot 5.56, 9mm, and I will shoot 7.62x39. Just because I have lots of that ammunition stockpiled, so it's cheap for me. And I'll shoot AR-10 if I'm shooting, 500 yards plus. Okay, so something for you guys to think about. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you soon.